We're going to run through some really simple little tests that you can do that are going to help you understand where you might be tight or where there might be some restrictions in your body. And we're not going to worry about that information because we all have them. I do, let me reassure you. And the point of this exercise is that we just start to understand our own body and how it works. Because when we use this information as data, well, then we can be more specific with the types of exercises or stretches or mobility that you need to do to address the things that are happening in your body. So rather than this being a way to make you feel paranoid about what might be tight or what might not have as much movement in there as you want, it's a way for me to work with you even more closely and personalise what you are doing so that you can continue to improve in as many areas as you can. And that's going to have an impact on your running and the efficiency of your running, and that's exactly what we want. So our first test is for you to simply stand in a neutral posture, okay? And then run through the checks that we talked about earlier to make sure that you can find that neutral position, and the weight in that instance is going through the midfoot, okay? So once you're there, once you feel it, once you're able to hold it, I want you to bring your arms slowly up over your head as high as you can. Okay, now what that may bring out, what that might show up, is if you don't have a good range of motion through your arms, or if there's a little bit of tightness in your chest, or a little bit of tightness in your thoracic spine, let me show you what might be happening, okay? You've maintained your posture, all right, and then you've brought your arms up, and then you get to a point where you can't quite get them over your head, but I've told you to get them over your head. So now you're thinking about your arms going higher, and you've forgotten about this instruction. So watch what happens. You start to see that arch in my back coming, and you start to lose your form at the lower part of your body because we're now trying to think about getting our arms up as high as we can. So I want you to do that again and see if you notice that happening. Because all this is telling us now, and this is something we'll work on together, there might be some tightness or restriction in your shoulder, in your chest muscles, or in the higher thoracic part of your spine. That means that you're compensating slightly when you do that exercise. But as I said earlier, this is just information. It just gives us some clues about where you need to stretch, where we need to improve some mobility. So this is our next exercise test. Now, you want to be doing this in front of a doorway. This isn't a doorway. I want you to use your imagination. But what this would do if you were going to get into this position, you can see how my glute and my mid-back are just about touching the edge of my equipment here, but this is just really showing you where, highlighting this curve in your low back. This is just what we're using the doorway for, so that we can feel that we're making contact with the back and the glutes, so that we're maintaining this curve. Now, the next thing we want to do from this position is to tilt the pelvis. So just watch what happens to that gap. It closes, and we're trying to tilt the pelvis as much as we can to close that gap. And then we're noticing what's going on here. Now, there's two things to look at. One, you might find that you just recognise there's a gentle lengthening of the muscle that you can feel, or you might feel a significant pull at the front of your hip. And you're going to do this with both sides, and they may be the same or they may be different, and you're going to take a note of that. If you notice the gentle lengthening, that's fine, that's normal. If you feel, like I do, a very significant pull here, then we're going to be working on doing some more regular stretches in this position to help lengthen this area of tightness in your body. Now we're going to do some tests that help you understand what your ankle mobility is like. So you're going to stand in front of a wall. I'm just using this to make it easier for you to see. And all you're going to do is standing up, you're going to put your big toe lightly against the wall and then bend your knee to see if you can touch the wall whilst you're keeping that heel really firmly grounded on the floor. And then I'm going to do the same again on the opposite side, same test. So we're seeing if they're the same or different, and you're just going to keep a record of that to notice which foot, if at either of them, can't do that. Now that's enough range of motion for running, but we also want to be doing squats, which means that we'll need a little bit more range of motion. So now we're going to use a tape measure, and we're going to measure 5 centimetres away from the wall. And then we just do the exact same thing again. So you're going to place your toe 5 centimetres away from the wall, and then just bend your knee forward to making sure that the heel doesn't raise. And then same again with the other side. I'm cheating and coming forward. Okay. Now what you want to notice from this exercise is firstly whether you can't manage to get your knee to the wall with either version. And then if you can't do that, you want to be looking at 2 things. Where you notice the restriction or what's stopping you from doing that. There could be 2 places. Either you are feeling some sort of restriction at the front of your ankle, or you're feeling tightness at the back of your ankle here. Something that you may also notice if you're able to do it, that you can do that, but there is still some tightness in the calf that you notice when you're doing that, even though your knee is touching, which is still something we want to address. So that's what you need to make a note of now, how your left and right differ, and what you're noticing in your feet. Are you noticing tightness in your calf, either whether you can touch the box or not with your knee? And if you can't touch the box with your knee, where are you noticing the problem is? Is it a restriction at the front that you can't bend into, or is it tightness at the back? Keep a note of that, and I'll give you more information in following videos about what to do.